Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we have a little bit of an interesting review. We're taking a look at this knife here made by Doomblade. Now, before we get into the review, I think we gotta give a little bit of context to this. So first of all, I do not know the name of this knife. I've been doing some research trying to find this knife around. If I figure out a name, I will put it in the title of this video. I'll write it on the screen. But for right now, I don't have any idea what this is called. Second thing, this might be a borrowed design, although I'm not sure of what. The knife kind of looks familiar to me, but I haven't been able to place what knife it reminds me of. And the second thing is this knife has a little bit of an interesting story, which we're going to get into right now. So I bought this knife years ago. I can't remember how long ago, but years ago at a flea market. This was kind of when I was first getting into knives, and I was attracted to this knife because it was D2 steel, and it was on bearings. It was an unassisted knife on bearings. And so I picked it up, and I had it for a while, and then I gifted it to one of my younger brothers, and he has carried and used this knife a lot around the ranch and stuff, and he wanted me to do a review of it, and so here we are. When we get to the cutting footage and stuff, he's there. He's going to be there at the cutting footage, and he talks a little bit about using this knife. So there's the context behind this thing. This is kind of a weird knife that kind of came out of nowhere, but yeah, I will try and figure out some more information on it. So let's go ahead and start this review by measuring the blade. So sharpened edge, we're coming in about 3.5 inches. We measure all the way back to the scales. We're getting close to that 3.25 inch range. So it's a big knife. It's also a pretty chunky guy too. Let's go ahead and get our size comparisons out. Here's the Rat Model 2. Model 2, yeah. Here's the Model 1. So yeah, very similar to the Rat 1 in size. And the Rat 1 is not a small knife, as a lot of you know. Let's go ahead and compare it against our USA Made comparisons. There's the Spyderco PM2, and here's the Benchmade Bug Out. There we go. I want to compare the thickness with the PM2 real quick. You can see this knife is quite a bit thicker. Yeah, by a good margin. Thick knife. Very, very thick knife. Next up, let's get our Civivis out here. There's our Elementum, and there's the Praxis. There's the Elementum right there. And here's our Praxis. Ta-da! And what else do I want to compare this knife against? Let's grab a big knife I've got on the table right now. It's a CGRB resource. Haha! Finally, we found a knife that's bigger than this guy. And I think that'll do us for size comparisons. So materials here, G10 scales. It is running on bearings. We have a steel liner lock, steel clip. The blade here is marked as D2 steel. Is it actually D2 steel? I'm not sure, but we will go ahead and talk about all that at a later date. Let's go ahead and go to the cutting footage. Alrighty guys, we're here to do some review cutting of
my favorite knife,
my brother's favorite EDC knife, the Doomblade. I'm not sure the model number. I'm not sure the name of the knife. I will do some research, see if I can figure it out. But I bought this knife at a flea market a long, long time ago. And I gave it to my brother. And he has been using the snot out of it for... How long ago did I give you this?
I want to say 1.5, 2 years ago.
It's been a while. And he's been using it here on the ranch. And... been enjoying it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So, yeah, that's the story behind this thing. Again, I will, when I do the review, I'll look up details and stuff like that. But because my brother's been the one that's been carrying this knife so much, I'm going to have to rely on him a lot to fill me in on how it has performed. But we can do the review cutting stuff right now. And let's start off by talking about the action. So, it is on bearings. Very good detent. Pretty smooth on the close.
You can actually adjust that, which I do a lot. I change the these are the big screws here. I like to turn those and makes it loose, tighter.
Yeah, so what he's talking about here is they've got flat heads instead of Torx bits on the pivot, which, yeah, is pretty useful because
I like it a lot.
Not everyone carries Torx bits around. And so if you're out here on the ranch and you need to make a quick adjustment,
I got this.
he can do it with his Leatherman. So that's a big plus on a work knife. That's something I definitely appreciate, and I wish more of my work knives were more like that. But yeah, so he can adjust that on the go, which is pretty awesome. Ergonomics, this thing is actually pretty good ergonomically. I can feel the clip a little bit. It's big, it's kind of chunky. It looks kind of angular, but it fills the hand out really, really nicely. And I can especially see wearing gloves, this would be pretty dang easy to hold on to. And I mean, your hands are about the same size as mine.
A little thinner, but yeah.
Yeah, so how does it work for you in the hand?
I like it a lot. I really, really like this. I really like the access to the lock bar, though. That I love. I can really... It's super easy to use, like you said, with gloves. Because my gloves are big on me, so I can't do a lot. But I can use this knife pretty well on them.
That's good. That's good. And I bet the big flipper tab also helps with that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which is something that also kind of adds to the action being as snappy as it is. Be nice to have a little bit of jimping on flipper tab for a little bit of grip, but there we go. All right, so there's the action and ergos out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about it in the pocket. I'm going to put it in my pocket for a little bit. So here's a clip, non-reversible, kind of a spoon clip. It's not deep carry, which for a work knife, again, is something I appreciate because it's easier to grab in and out of your pocket. Yeah. All right, let's see this thing going in. So yeah, that clip climbs over really, really well. Sits in there. The knife itself tucks away nicely. In, out. Yeah. Not bad at all. Alrighty, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. And I'm going to do the cutting just to keep everything consistent on the channel. But here we go. This blade is D2 steel. Now again, I bought this at a flea market. Is this real D2? I don't know. I sharpened it for him a little bit ago and it felt like soft D2, but I mean, it's held a decent edge for you for a while. So let's go ahead and get our testing done. The blade here is kind of a Japanese style tanto. We do have a compound grind, both flat grinds, but you can see here we do have some compoundiness going on. Let's go ahead and do some cutting. If I can stay in the cut. All right, so kind of a straight back there. This is also a pretty robust blade, which I'm sure helps out here on the ranch doing all of your adventure stuff. Get off of their tape. So yeah, there's a rough spot there. I might need to sharpen that up again here a little bit. So yeah, that sliced pretty well. I can definitely see this is a more robust blade. So if we're going through some of your tough materials and stuff, you'll have a little more power. Let's go ahead and grab our rope. I predict it's going to do pretty good on this rope stuff.
I usually get the hay string every day, so, you know.
Yeah, that pulled through really, really nicely there. And I bet it's going to crunch through pretty nicely here, too. 1, yep. 2, yep. 3, okay. Yeah, so that crunched through, yeah, pretty much all the way. That really, really nice. And a lot of that is because we have such a robust blade, and that compound grind up here brings a lot of durability to that edge. So this is not a blade that you're going to easily snap or chip or anything.
No.
So that's really, really good. All right. Get our pool noodle out here. Mr. Orange is almost gone.
Go to Dollar Tree. They'll probably have something.
You know, I went to Dollar Tree there in Las Cruces a couple weeks back. No pool noodles.
Actually?
I was shocked.
That's crazy.
There was some guy laying on the floor cracked out of his mind, but no pool noodles.
He probably ate them.
Did I tell you about the time someone stole a pool noodle out of my truck at Dollar Tree?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. New Mexico. All right, so going through that first cut that actually felt pretty good. I tried to go a little too slim on that second one. On that third one, I went nice and thick. You can see we came out pretty even. So definitely a knife with a more robust geometry. I would not say this is necessarily a slicer. This is a cutter. And I think that's absolutely fine for
my uses of it. Yeah,
exactly. All right, so we're going to get to the table or something and talk about this knife. I'm probably going to have you help me talk about the performance of this thing quite a bit.
All right, we'll do.
So, would you like to throw it at the table?
No, that's your part.
All right, all right. We will see you in the next part. Okie dokie. let's talk business. Now, really, I should have my brother here discussing the pros and cons of this knife because he is the person that has used it the most. But here I am to try and fill in the blanks. Alrighty, we're joined by my oldest younger brother, and he wants to talk a little bit about the Doomblade and kind of what he likes about it, and yeah, just kind of his thoughts. So I'm going to let you go.
So what do I like about it? Everything. I actually like this knife. I use it every day for chores. It's really good for everything I use it for. It cuts boxes well. It cuts string well. It's really nice to use with gloves because it has really good access to the lock bar there. So I really appreciate that. I can do that with my gloves on, really nice. And I actually really like these little screws here because I can adjust the tightness of the blade really easily out in the field. Just with my Leatherman, which actually broke recently, so I'm kind of sad about that.
Oh,
but
your Leatherman broke?
Well, the Leatherman's fine when pouch broke, so I can't carry it anymore.
That Leatherman
okay.
ain't fine.
You know, I think
It's also not fine, but...
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of pouches laying around somewhere. I'll give you one of them.
Cool, because yeah, that's pretty sad. But I went to camp with this thing over the summer, and when I got bored, I would just toy around with these things, see how I could get the action going. I have it really set nice right now. The action's super nice on this thing. Really appreciate that. I can just change it how I want it to. Yeah, I use it every day. I think it's really comfortable just to hold with gloves on too. It really stays in the hand well. For pocket carry, I really appreciate that. I usually carry it in my left pocket because I like to put my phone or some other knife in my right pocket.
And that's interesting because you're right-handed.
Yeah.
So, very cool. Something that some people have, I guess, an issue with flipper knives is if you carry it in the other pocket, the flipper tab rides against the seam of the pocket and could deploy. Is that something that you've ever had trouble with?
No, this is fine. It's just fine like that. Yeah. It really just works really well for everything I needed to do. I mean, there's nothing I have to say bad about it.
Good, good. And we recently sharpened it.
Oh, yeah.
Went out to do chores, and someone was trying to cut the hay string on the back of the truck, and pretty much dull as a spoon.
Hey, that's not my fault, though. I use it every day. So
Yeah, absolutely.
No time to sharpen it.
And it's been holding up really, really well. I'm not sure if it's actually D2 steel or not, but it's been holding up well enough for your uses.
It works.
Yeah, so good deal. Well, thanks for the thoughts. And thank you, other brother, too. You guys, what are you doing?
Seeing how sharp it is, how good it is.
Cool.
Okay. We're actually doing this little interview in what used to be my old room and is now... Hey, come over here, you.
Oh, darn.
It's now this one's room. So, yay, a lot of fun. And then I'm heading out of here tomorrow, so kind of our last little hoorah.
It was supposed to happen over Christmas break, but...
It was supposed to happen over Christmas
yeah,
break, but
we had to go back to school, so...
things got busy. So, alrighty. Thank you guys for your thoughts, and wave to the camera. So we're going to start off with some of the positives. Number one, I will say this knife does feel pretty good in the hand. It's very, very grip filling. The ergonomics are pretty neutral, and the G10 is shaped very interestingly. You see we have kind of this prominent ridge through there, and we've got like kind of chamfers in here. It gives a knife, another chamfer right there, a very interesting feeling in the hand, which I appreciate. And I wouldn't say this is the most comfortable knife in the world, but it is very, very comfortable. So that's a good thing. Access to the lock bar is excellent. Very easy to get to that liner and push it over. Next thing, the pocket clip actually works decently well. Could be worse. It is not reversible, but I guess that's okay. Let's talk about the action. So the detent is actually tuned pretty well. Right there, you saw it was a little bit difficult to open. I did actually tighten this pivot down just a little bit before I sat down here. Let's loosen that. Come on, stupid ratcheting thing. I sometimes don't like this driver. Oh, it's this side. There we go. My bad. So the action is fairly nice. And speaking of what you're seeing here with the adjusting and stuff, that was one thing my brother really likes about this knife is that it has a flathead pivot that you can adjust. And so if he needs to make a blade adjustment, he can do it with any kind of tool laying around pretty much. Which, yeah, I can agree. That is definitely a positive. Centering is you know, you can adjust it out. Let's see, what's the blade play like right now? Very, very subtle side to side, but yeah, you can adjust it very, very easily. This blade is actually a pretty interesting blade. So you can see we do have compound grind here. You can see this knife has been used and loved quite a bit. Focus up there. But a very interesting blade. Definitely a strong blade shape. This is not something that's going to break very easily. And it's kind of a straight back with a nice bellied profile. Very good for slicing. Actually a very, very good piercer. It's kind of a traditional Tanto blade shape. But just really, 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 really nice little blade. And something else I like about this knife is that the blade disappears completely into the handle when it's folded. I'm a sucker for designs like this. I don't know why, but I am. I think they're just really, really nice. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some negatives. So the number one, is this actually D2? I'm not sure. I have sharpened this knife once for my brother. I'm going to do it again actually after I finish filming this video. It didn't really feel like D2, but it didn't feel, I don't know, it didn't feel super hard, but he's used it a lot, and this thing has done really, really well for him. He's been using it and abusing it, and it's been holding up. So, you know, whatever, even if it's not real D2, I guess it's a steel that works, right? I do kind of wish there was some jimping on flipper tab, wish there was some jimping up here. The action is serviceable, but it is kind of unrefined. And honestly, that's something that can be said about this knife in general, is it's a little bit unrefined in a lot of ways. However, again, my brother really, really likes this as a work knife. I have given him other knives, and this is his favorite. This is the one he prefers. So, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? T6 hardware back here, I can tell it's probably going to be a pain to take apart. Lockup is solid, though. Clip isn't my favorite thing aesthetically, but it gives you, you know, a nice little bit to pull out of. Overall, for a knife that I think I paid 15, 20 bucks for at a flea market, I'm pretty impressed with how well it has held up for my brother. You know, you never want to be the guy that gives your family members bad tools that lead them to get injured or anything. And so I'm really, really glad that this knife has been such a good knife for my little brother. He's used the heck out of it, and it's still kicking. And honestly, at the end of the day, that's kind of the highest praise you can give a knife. Now, again, I'm not sure if Doomblade is that reputable of a company. I kind of doubt it. But they have made a knife here that has stood up to a lot of use and abuse. And it functions as a tool. It helps my brother get tasks done. And that's what a knife is for. And so I guess as a knife, this thing does its job just right. Can you still buy these? I don't know. I've seen them around other places with different blade finishes, different handle colors. Should you get one? You know what? If you want a nice little beater knife, I can absolutely recommend this. If you're if you're looking for something to add to your collection that you think is going to be real, real special, this probably won't float your boat. But as far as beater knives go, this thing is tried and true, so it gets a recommendation from me. And that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my brother for helping with this video. And if you guys enjoyed this, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.